Man, I've tried to make this video like 3 times now, but the more I talk about this movie, the more confused I get. So yeah, I watched Beau's Afraid the other day in theaters, and it was a complete sensory overload. I tried to go into this movie with zero expectations, and it was near impossible to avoid the sea of one-sentence vague reviews. But I actually made it to this movie with no knowledge of the actual story, besides it was about a man going to visit his mother. But what I got was 3 hours of sitting on the edge of enjoyment, thinking I was starting to understand, only to be thrown off again and again for the entire runtime. This video is not going to be a full-on in-depth analysis. I think I'd need to watch it like 2 more times just to be close to having a full idea of what it's about. I still haven't read anything on it yet or watched any videos. I wanted to make this video first. But yeah, I just want to talk about it a little bit. This is like my first reaction in a way. And for the past 3 or 4 days, I've just been sitting on this absolutely insane movie. If you haven't seen it yet, I'd kind of recommend it. I'm still not sure, but I'm not going to spoil everything, but I'm going to spoil a lot, so I'll leave timestamps for any of the big stuff. But make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification button for future videos, and let's try to talk about Ari Aster's third film, Beau's Afraid. For being at its core a 3 hour confusing movie, the first half is actually pretty thrilling and doesn't drag, but after he makes it out of the woods, until the ending, it was feeling like a very slow burn. We got Joaquin Phoenix at his most awkward and unstable, living in the most cartoonish bad side of town, as his entire day-to-day feels like an existential bad trip where irrational fears are real-life anxiety nightmares. People breaking in, a parent dying and you didn't get to go see them before, you take too much of a medicine and it kills you, and Joaquin fits this role perfectly, very quickly becoming my favorite part of the film. Knowing I was going to make a video about it, around an hour in, I was starting to think about what is this movie about, and for the life of me, I could not come up with anything past an idea that was quickly shut down by the very next scene. The term uncanny valley kept popping up in my head, the human or lifelike appearance of something artificial and the creepy empty feeling it gives you. This felt like a movie, it had qualities of a movie, but I just felt empty and it just didn't feel normal. And of course there's plenty of weird movies out there that are not normal, but this was something different. The teenage girl from the family that watches over Beau after his accident feels like one of those videos where they try and simulate what English sounds like to a non-English speaker. Nothing she did or said made any sense, and it was driving me crazy. Why does she have to give her room up? Why does she keep taking unknown pills all day? The entire paint scene. And speaking of not understanding, I needed subtitles for like half the shit Beau said, but anyway, right before the paint scene, we start to get some sort of answer to what this movie is about as we get this Truman Show-like reveal with a time travel element. I was actually pretty excited for this because it does feel like something is controlling the movie and what Beau does, but from here on out it just becomes more and more confusing. Beau's trip to the woods still doesn't make complete sense to me, and I'm not entirely sure how it connects to the rest of the movie, but I actually really did enjoy this part. This village of nomads puts on this performance, and I kept thinking this play would relate to his life, which it kinda does, but also really doesn't. And then his supposed dad is there, even though he was told his whole life that his dad died as Beau was being conceived. Again, very Truman Show. But if you can get anything from what I'm saying so far, there's a lot of ideas that start but never get fully fleshed out. And this is one of my main problems with this movie. There's so many themes and plot devices that get brought up and just never really go anywhere, but also slightly relate to this unknown main theme. Somehow they needed more time because there was just way too much. And when Beau finally gets to his mom's house, the entire movie gets flipped upside down, but also kind of starts to make some sense. So Beau finally makes it to his mom's house after she died, and it's revealed that she staged her death, but it goes way deeper than that. She has been controlling everything in the movie. She owns the apartment building, the family that takes care of Beau actually works for her, his long-term crush works for her, and she pretty much put him, along with his love for her, his mother, up to the test with all of these scenarios. And this is where we get my two big takeaways that I got. One, he doesn't control anything in his life. He's always asking other people what he should do, hence him being controlled physically the whole movie. Because two, this seems like the representation of the inner child's trauma running the adult life, because clearly his mother's insane and he has some childhood issues left untouched, but Beau acts and is treated like a child for the entire movie. And I thought they were going to take this and fully unravel this concept, but then I'm at a loss again. This movie ends with his actions being put to trial as we see an audience, most likely representative of us, along with the judge who has been watching Beau's whole life with the mother. And then this is where I felt the most unsatisfied, because it felt like he was on his way to redemption. He was finally going to get rid of this guilt and shame. And then the mother is looked at as the victim? I don't know, man. I just straight up hated his mom. Obviously, that's the character they created, and we're supposed to hate her, I think. But dude, after 3 hours, I just needed some sort of resolve. For as much as this movie hurts my brain, I like how they represented some of the themes in this movie. The part of Beau that was confident, being metaphorically and literally locked in the attic, was awesome. His anxiety was represented really well. I mean, there were some concepts that they didn't fall short on. I guess the direction I thought it was going to go into, or should have, that's why it's most frustrating to me. If I could describe this movie, I'd say a crazy mother who never got the love she needed, was not mentally ready to have a kid, but did anyway, and in her eyes gave him all the love he needed and more. But her idea of a parent and what she was taught is clouded by the fact that she wasn't raised and cared for the right way. Then this cycle of trauma repeats as we see Beau is damn near still a child because his mom overcompensated when he was young, showering him with all this love that in turn gave him some dependency issues. He has never seen what life is really like, and that is put on full display when we see everything we have been watching has been manufactured by his own mother. I think just like The Truman Show, this will be a way better watch the second time as you see all the clues, like the maintenance guy that's at Beau's apartment is working at his mom's funeral. But again, what I'm describing is more what I took away, not what was on screen, because again, there's just so much more going on in this movie. Of course, I wasn't going to get out of here without talking about the attic scene. Come on now. I actually like the idea that his dad was this, I'm serious, if you haven't watched it, this penis monster. I mean, that's what he thinks his penis is. He's always been told that if he has sex with a girl, he will die. And his dad had the same problem and passed it down to him, and he and his mom metaphorically locked this all away along with any other questions about the truth of Beau's childhood. Remember I said this movie just feels like his fears coming to life? I mean, low-key as I write more and more of this, it's starting to make sense. Well, not really. Did I like this movie? Yes. But I can already see it stirring up some problems. I mean, you know what I mean. People are already saying it's amazing and so sophisticated, or it's terrible and means nothing. And I feel like it'll just be one of those movies, you know? It'll be gatekeeped within a month, just watch. But I genuinely do think it had potential to be that amazing, groundbreaking movie. It just felt slightly half-baked throughout. I don't know why, but I feel like after I watch it again, I'm gonna really like it. I already really enjoyed the visuals, the sound design. It did its job a little too well of freaking me out, but Ari Aster knows how to immerse you into fear. That's kind of why we're here after all. I would say this is obviously not a standard horror movie, but fear, specifically of the unknown, is stronger in this movie than a lot of quote-unquote real horror movies. We are Beau in this movie, afraid of what's to come, but more confused by what's leading up to it. Yeah, I think I need to stop there because I actually do want to make a more in-depth video about this movie and what I interpreted, but from one watch and about 4 days to think about it, this is what I gathered. As confusing as this video probably is, trust me, it'll make sense if you've seen the movie. I actually tried to have a more structured video. I think we're on like script 3 now, but I kind of like how this came out because it's exactly how I felt while watching it. I still can't tell if it's as good or bad as I'm making it out in my head, but it has the potential to make some waves and really get people thinking. Maybe Ari wanted this to be fully up to our interpretation, and that's fine, but when it comes to movies that I like, the director usually has something in there to give you the answer. And if Beau is Afraid does have some sliver of resolve in this movie, it is buried deeper than his childhood trauma.